Hello everyone, here's another story for you this week. I'm going to talk about a time, one of the jobs I had in England many years ago now, 1984. I was a driving instructor for BSM, British School of Motoring. Here is my tie. It was a lovely job. I enjoyed it. Teaching people to drive, very rewarding. Had a lot of fun. A lot of tears as well. I mean, people didn't pass their test, but that's part of the game. But I want to talk about one particular person that I taught. I worked for the office in Finsbury Park, North London, and on this particular day I was in the office. I didn't have any lessons that day, but what I had to do was, my appointment book was old and it was full, and I had to have a new book, so I was transferring all the appointments into the new book. And a young girl that was sitting in the office there, she does all the bookings, or she was one of the girls that did the bookings. She attracted my attention to a guy outside looking in the window. And then he walked away, this guy. She said to me that he's been doing that for at least 3 hours, coming up, looking in the window and walking away. He was a black guy. He was about 18. Anyway, eventually he came back and he looked in the window, and then he walked away again. Then very shortly after that he came, looked in the window, but this time he plucked up the courage to actually come in, and he wanted to book lessons to drive. Now, when he came in, you could tell that he wasn't the full shilling. Nothing against that, nothing against him at all, but he wasn't 100%. Nice guy though, he was a nice guy. He was 18, as I said. The girl booked him in for lessons and took in particulars, name, address and all that sort of thing. And then she asked me, could I take him for the first lesson, or add him to my list. And I said, yes, I'll take him. But with British School of Motoring, we had a set way of teaching. You had to do it this particular way. You couldn't do it any other way. You had to do it the BSM way. And on the first lesson, very, very rarely do the new driver actually drive. You have to take them to a quiet area, and then you explain the controls of the car. You got to get the seat in right, you got to get the seat belt right, you got to adjust the mirrors. There's a lot of information you've got to pass on to them, and you've got to do it because every now and again another instructor will take your learners and test them to make sure they're up to standard, and also to make sure that the instructor is teaching correctly to the book. So you have to stick to the book. Anyway, I walked with this guy, I can't remember his name, and as we were walking into the car, we got to the car, I drove. I said, I'm just going to drive off to my little area where I go. And on the way there, he was telling me that he'd been wanting to learn, but all his friends kept laughing at him and saying that he's too stupid, he's too silly, he'll never be able to drive a car because he's too silly, he's too stupid. Well, when he told me that, I thought, I'm going to take this challenge. I'm going to prove his friends wrong. So I get to my little area in Finsbury Park, and I've got this guy sitting in the driver's seat. I explained all the controls and everything, and he was doing okay. And then I said to him, after I've been through everything, the mirrors and everything, got the seatbelt on, I said, okay, and I told him how to start the engine. He started the engine. We're driving a manual, of course. So I told him how to select the first gear, clutch all the way to the floor, a little bit of gas into first gear, slowly bring up the clutch, and so on. And a little bit more gas, and release the handbrake, check over the mirror, check your shoulder, bring up the clutch, and the car moved. He only went 100 yards, and then I got him to stop, pull over, stop, switch off, and that was it. Now I said to him, you can now go back to your friends and tell them they're wrong, because you can drive the car. You just did it. I didn't do it. You did it. I've got dual controls, but I'm not allowed to touch them unless my life is in danger. That's the only time you can lose the dual controls. So, but the look on his face when the car moved, I didn't need pain. Just that look on his face. And then when we got back, he offered to pay, and I said, no, you keep that for the next one. This one, the first lesson, is on me, and I paid for his first lesson. And I'll never forget him. I just hope that wherever he is and he's enjoying his life driving around London and made a difference to his life. I hope so. I like to think it has. But that's this little story. It's true, and it did happen. And those are the ones that make you feel good. You know, when you teach someone to drive. And he had a lesson every week. He couldn't afford one more than that. They were quite expensive, actually, British School of Motoring. And he had one lesson a week, which is an hour each. Normally, when you teach someone, you teach them one thing on one lesson, and then the next lesson the following week, they've forgotten half of what. So you got to do a bit of that, then a little bit more, and a little bit more. But this guy never forgot. He never forgot a single thing. And he had, I think it was 8 lessons in total. Went for his test and he passed first time. There's other stories, many stories I've had about driving instructors. That'll be another time, another story. One of the other stories is the complete opposite. A guy who'd been trying to pass his test for, I think, 4 years before he came to me, and he still didn't pass his test. So that's my little story for today, and thank you for watching.